Welcome back to Joe's Toolbox Exchange. Today we got a Macsimizer in. We're going to do a review of this box at the end where we go over all the specs in detail. We're not going to show the cleaning process today, but we'll show what it looks like before when it comes in. I think it's cool to see a box, in rough shape, and then at the end to see that contrast, so you guys can get an idea of what a box that you might buy used, what it'll clean up like. The model number on this box is a MB1354PD because it has a power drawer. The dimensions on these boxes are kind of strange. They're 67. They're the only box I believe that is a 67. And also it's 27 inches deep, which I don't think anyone else makes a 27. A lot of boxes do 29. Matco also does a 30. Snap-on does a 30. But being 27, I think they're the only ones that offer that. Also, the power drawer on them is very unique. We'll show that at the end. They use a pretty different system I'm not a huge fan of, but it's cool. It still does have that power drawer. It's also on the bottom, which is usually the power drawers are higher up on every other brand. We've looked at a Macsimizer in the past, being that pink one. This one has the same rolled over edge. They're also the only box that does that rollover on the edge, and their locks are kind of cool. On the big Maximizers, on the carts, they're in the center, but on all of their solid tops, the locks are on the side. Every other brand puts it in the center, so the Maximizers are unique compared to a lot of other brands in some of those different little specs. And like I said at the end, we'll go over that in detail, all the dimensions, drawer weight rating, and things like that. I'd like to mention the giveaway. That's for a $300 Klipsch Bluetooth speaker, the KMC1. That ends on September 14th, and we will announce the winner on the 15th. The pinned top comment below the video will be the link to enter that giveaway. So I will see you guys in a little bit after we have this all clean and we can go over it in some more detail. Thank you. So when I took this video first, I actually filmed it in the portrait instead of landscape, so I apologize for the aspect ratio being a bit strange. But I was really just trying to show how bad this box was when we first got it in. It was really dirty. The flat colors look dirty a lot, but also this came from a body shop, so it just has a lot of body dust on there from the sanding of the vehicles, and that's just how it is sometimes. The inside was really bad. The drawers were gross, so this box did take several hours to clean. The top mat on the Maximizers is really hard. It's not the same as a Matco that's smooth or a Snap-on that has a slight texture. The Maximizers have a very prevalent texture, so the dirt and dust gets trapped inside, and also things like glue stick to it really easy. For the drawers, it's always the same. First you sweep it out to get the big stuff. Next you vacuum to try to get most of the dust out, or as much as possible, and then you go back with the tire foam. I said in the past we like using tire foam because it restores the colors, but also it's oil-based, so it doesn't cause any rust. So if some of that moisture gets trapped from the tire foam, it's not going to rust out underneath the drawer, where you do have that problem if you're putting a lot of water in a box. However, for the rest of this box, we're using just water. On other boxes, we'll use glass cleaner and different chemicals, but on the flat black, we use a magic eraser with just water. You'll notice how the liners don't stick here. It's because it's a flat black color and the liners never stick well. It's not because the liners are a problem, it's just because the color doesn't stick well with the liners. So he's scrubbing out with that magic eraser. That's really the best way and the only way I found to clean flat boxes is just water and a magic eraser, and I try to rinse the magic eraser a lot before I use it to get out most of the soap that comes in them. Even the wheels is just water on this box. It's the only flat colors is just water. It's the easiest way, as even glass cleaner will kind of streak and leave behind residue. Bumping some music in the shop always helps the day go quicker, so that's our speaker here. And overall, the box now looks a lot better. It's definitely not perfect. It's a used box. It's been used for 10 years, but it looks a lot better. All right, welcome back. We've got the box all cleaned up. It does look a lot better. It is still a flat black box, so it's gonna have wear on it. Unlike a lot of colors that are easily touched up, flat black just shows wear more than anything else. You'll kind of notice a little bit of paint discoloration here. I think it's from brake cleaner would be my guess. I don't know exactly what causes that, but it's pretty normal on flat colors. So no matter what you do, you're never gonna get this box perfect. The model number on this is MB1354PD because it has a power drawer. This box is no longer manufactured, but they make one almost the exact same. This box is a 2014, so considering that it is over 10 years old, it's in pretty decent condition. It was used hard for 10 years and it still is very presentable. The model that they make now that's the same dimensions is going to be an M6627. The new part numbers are a little bit easier to understand because they're saying it's a M being Macsimizer, and also it's a 66 because it's 66 and 27. We discussed that with the pink cart. Their model numbers are a lot more straightforward now. I don't really understand the old model numbers for exactly where they derived them from. Overall, I really like the Macsimizer boxes. I think from Mac, it's probably the only line I really like. I'm not a huge fan of the Tech series for the price, and I'm also not a fan of the Edge series. Even if an Edge series was $500, I'd probably put that $500 to a US General cart or a box because I think they're a little bit better build quality, actually. But the Maximizers are a lot nicer. This is Mac's top of the line box. They have several Maximizers. They have a Maximizer HD. They have a lot of different dimensions. They have 30-inch ones. This is a 27-inch one. They have all different lengths. For this video, we're not going to go into all of the details of all the different boxes. It would be a 4-hour-long video. We're just going to look at this box here. This box here is a pretty common one. We get these in a lot, although the 27 is not that common. Usually they are 30. Other than that, it's the same length and same height and same build quality. I do not know the weight on this box, as they do not put it online, and I did not get a chance to weigh it. It is heavy though. The box all around is very well built. It's got these distinct rolled edges that are really only found on the Maximizer line. Overall, I like the boxes. I would not compare them to an Epic though, albeit they are the top of the line Mac box. They don't really compare to the top of the line Snap-on boxes, and to be truthful, they don't really compare to the top of the line Matcos either, or the top of the line Cornwells. I think a Platinum is a little bit nicer than this box. I think the 6S from Matco is a little bit nicer than this, and the Epic is a lot nicer than this. But price-wise, it's not really in the ballpark of those boxes. It is less expensive than the other top of the lines. I would say an Edge series is similar to a Blue Point. We're speaking of Mac here. The Edge series is similar to a Blue Point. The Tech series is similar to a Classic, and then this is similar to a Masters. They really don't have one that's absurdly nice. The carts are really nice, but when they get to these bigger boxes, I would say it's very similar build quality to a Masters. Between the two, I personally like the Masters a little bit more for a couple of reasons, and we'll go into those details here. It's a lot of little things, but it adds up overall to me liking the Masters more. But I will say this box right here is going to sell for $2,000. So it's not a very expensive box for how large it is. The MSRP on the M6627, the newer model of this, I think the only difference is there's power outlets here on the newer model. I've had them both and I can't tell any other difference. If there is some, I'm unaware of them. The components are all the same. The wheels are the same. The slides are the same. The liners are the same. The dimensions are the same. I don't know if there's some other minute changes, but there is a power outlet here on the new one. And on this one, it's not. I don't really like the power outlets on the front. Like you can see one here on this newer Maximizer. It's just kind of bulky, and aesthetically it's a lot. And I don't really know how helpful it is to have a big power outlet on the front of your box, especially when you have power right on the other side of that. If you needed to charge something, you have it right there. But on the new ones, they offer it. And same with Matco. They put power on the front of it. Snap-on never does. The reasons I like the box are that price. At $2,000 used, you know, new, $13,900. That's a lot of money. It's $13,915. So you're basically at $14K list price on this box. Mac does deal on a lower margin than some of the other brands. So you're going to be able to get this for less on the truck if your dealer is decent, where Snap-on, a lot of times they sell closer to that list price. But this box right here is, in my opinion, I would rather have a double Masters, although I guess that's just an opinion. That is what I'm here for, is to provide that. I see a lot less issues and a lot less complaints with something like a Masters, where the Maximizers have some complaints. Overall though, I don't want to say it's not a good box. I don't want to dissuade you guys from buying this box. In a video we did yesterday, we were looking at that Matco cart. I really don't like that Matco cart. I kind of would dissuade you from buying it. On a Maximizer, I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out the things I don't like about it. Overall though, I think the Maximizer is a very good product. I'm not a huge fan of the fact they put Maximizer on the front, as Matco does the same with their 6S, 2S, and 4S lines, but like Snap-on doesn't at all, and the Cornwell does too. The Cornwell will put like Pro Series or Platinum Series on the front. I just think it's a cleaner look without it there, but you really can't take them off because it would have discolored the black behind it, so it is kind of just stays. And then their big logo is down here. I like their big logo. I wish it was metal, like Snap-ons on their Epics. These are plastic and they discolor quite a bit. You'll see it here discoloring. It's just the nature of having a painted plastic. Or maybe it's not even painted. Maybe it is just dyed all the way through. But still, you see a lot of discoloration on that. I'm not a huge fan. Another small complaint is a lot of brands do this. I don't like the black painted locks. If you want to show this, they always look like this, even on a box that's really new. Here, show that pink one. The pink one is like not hardly used, and it's still doing that. I wish they would just do like Snap-on on all of their boxes. They're this. You can buy caps for the Snap-on to have them be different colors. but they're always chrome, so they always look nice. Even on a box where it's blacked out, it's still a chrome lock. I think it's better to have a chrome lock than a black lock that eventually discolors like this. But that is a small complaint. I like that it's on the side. It is really cool that it's on the side and it's out of the way. Aesthetically, it's a lot better. They work very smooth, considering it's controlling a locking mechanism that's running down the back of the box and dropping bars across the back. It is probably the smoothest lock of any Toolbox brand, is the Macsimizer. I really like them. I almost never have problems with the locks on these boxes. Very rarely am I working on them. They are a little bit harder to replace, and drill is very hard, but they do a full 180-degree turn, where Snap-on does a 90, so you're moving a lot more metal in a small turn, where I think getting that extra 90 degrees for a total of 180 just makes the lock work a lot better. I like that, and it never breaks. Now we'll get on to the specs of the box, the most important parts. So the slide capacity is 200 pounds, where a Masters or an Epic is going to be 227. 200 is not the highest across the brands. I just locked the box. But that is still adequate for something of this size. You know, your top drawer is going to be 400 pounds, but if you want to get it from the side and show the flex, I mean, I weigh 150, so I should not be close to maxing this drawer out. And that's a lot of sag on just 150. If you want to show like a Masters that says it's 227, we'll use a different drawer because that drawer already weighs a lot. This is also a single slid drawer, and that's a lot less sag. Granted, this is rated a bit higher, but I don't know, you can just kind of feel it in the drawers. They're not quite there. Although the drawers are smooth, I think they're a little bit better than Matco's. A little bit more similar to a Snap-on feel when you open them, even on a big drawer. I mean, I didn't grease these slides. This is an over 10-year-old box. And even on the double slides, it's just a very smooth drawer. You notice on a lot of boxes, Matco and Cornwell, when they're double slid, they're not quite that precise, so the slides fight each other a little bit, but they're very precise on the Maximizers. They're very smooth, and they get smoother with use. So that's something to consider if you like a really smooth drawer. That is a good option. The dials are going to be similar to a Matco and the Cornwell. Well, the old model Cornwells. Now they have a lift latch on the Cornwells, but this is the exact same dial that's used on the Matco 6Ss. So you spin this to increase the tension, and you put it down to decrease the tension, and that's how hard you have to open the drawer. So if you move your box a lot and your drawers are heavy, dials up. Where if your box is stationary, or if you have something really light in there like screwdrivers, you turn those dials way down, so you can kind of always have it set. You know, a really heavy drawer set really high still opens easy because that weight wants to move. It's an okay design. It's not, I like the slide latch or the lift latches a lot better, but I have the similar design on my boxes at home, and I like it. It's okay. It's for what it is. It's a fine design. There's a reason that they use it, and there's a reason that Matco uses it on their high-end line. That's because it does work. Functionality, it's fine. Something that is also peculiar with this box is going to be the power drawer. So Snap-on used to have their power drawers on their Epics on the bottom, and now they're lifted up. They have a tiny drawer below the power drawer. Some very early model of Epics, I think they're only released for a part of a year, and some trade shows had that power drawer on the bottom, and you guys ask in the forums all the time, can I put it on the bottom? Because you want it on the bottom. The reason Snap-on doesn't do it, though, is because of two things. There's regulations for these, and that's going to be CE and UL. We're not going to get into that a ton, but basically CE is 15 inches from the floor. You're not supposed to have a power outlet. You can't have a power outlet and get CE certification, and UL is 12 inches. So when Snap-on got the UL approval, they were over the 12, but they were not over the 15, so they moved that power drawer up, and that's why they don't offer it on a lower drawer. This drawer is very low, so there's no way that this box, and I don't understand how they could have passed it through CE. I don't even know if they're claiming to, but that's kind of a big deal. A lot of these brands want to be in industrial facilities that have that specification being UL and CE. This box would pass UL, it would not pass CE, unless they found a workaround I'm unsure of. But that's because this power drawer, this is the power drawer, it's on the very bottom. If you want to show it from this side, they have a cool rail system. It works the same as a lot of boxes, only it's on the full outside. A lot of boxes have it on the inside. Snap-on has theirs on the outside, but it's actually in stainless. This is all the way on the outside. It's a bit strange too. They put it behind a door, and I don't know if that's how they got it past CE or attempted to have that workaround, but you spin this little lever, and they say this is for managing cables, but I don't understand how that's for managing cables, because what are you gonna do, jam a charger back there? I just don't quite get it. It's a little bit, a lot of times, I'm surprised this one is even here. Most of the time, this little door is gone completely. But then your drawer liner doesn't even go all the way to the back, and your outlets are all the way in the back, and you only have 4 of them. And that's the same on the new one. I think they have 2 USBs on the new one, but they have 4. It looks like this. So you'll have 4 chargers, boom, 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 and 2 USBs. But on the on this model, being a 10-year-old box, they did not have the USB. So you just got 4 outlets, and they're way jammed in the back. So it's not the most efficient way to do it. I don't know why they did. And like I said, I'm surprised this panel is here, because usually these things are thrown away like day one, but they slip into these little troughs. And then this little thing spins and it hides your outlets. They come with a lot of trays. It's kind of cool. I think this box has 3. Snap-on does sell trays, or did sell trays. A lot of boxes have them, but not new boxes. The old boxes, the old KRL Masters, had these trays in them a lot, but I think this box had several. It's got a big one here that goes the full length. That drawer's a bit stiff. And one of the other smaller drawers has a second one. Either way, I think there's 3 trays inside of this box, and it's cool. You know, you can hold little stuff in there and not, you know, like drill bits or something that you don't really need a drawer for, you don't know where to put them for, pens and pencils. You can just throw them in these little trays and they slide around. I like that the Maximizers come with them. I wish Snap-on did too. And the wheels are pretty cool on these boxes. They actually have a scale inside of them if you want to come down here and show it. You can't see it now because the box isn't hitting the threshold, but there's a red bar up here. And as you weight your box down, it'll tell you all the way up to 2,000 pounds, which is what the rating for the caster is. So the casters are rated for 2,000 pounds, so you'll see this red line going down, and it's kind of cool. If you're moving your box, you know, using a freight company or something, you could say, hey, I know I have 6,000 pounds between the box and tools. I wish the other brands did this. I've only ever seen Maximizer put the scale in the wheels. The square inches on the box are going to be 10,000 and something, like 10,136, I think. That sounds right. 10,316. 10,316 is the square inches inside of this box. I don't know the cubic inches. Once again, Mac doesn't provide it. Mac doesn't provide a lot of information. Even to find the list prices of these boxes, we had to call Mac and get them to tell us what they are. I don't know why they don't just have them. Every other brand has them right on their website, but Mac, you got to call them and speak to a person to find out the list price, which is how we found $13,915. I don't know if it's because it changes so much they don't want to update it, but they will tell you right over the phone. So if you guys want to know these things, you can just call Mac 800 number. 800 Mac Tools is their phone number, and they'll tell you the list price for any of their products. The dimensions on it is 67 wide, 27 inches deep, and 46 inches from the floor. So comparing it to like a Masters, you're getting 13 inches, but you're also losing 2 inches. So you're losing 2 inches, you're getting 13, and the height is about the same. I like their handles on them compared to a lot of boxes. They have their logos inside of this cap. If you want to take the handle off, you bust this little, well, you don't bust it, you just pry it off, and there's a screw that runs behind it. I like their handles on their boxes. It's the same as that cart. It's actually been the exact same handle for every Maximizer we've ever seen. On their Edge series, it's not this handle, but on the Maximizer it is. And it's heavy duty. You're not going to break it. I never have problems with these handles. I really never have problems with the wheels either. I like their locking mechanism. That locking mechanism sometimes goes, but the wheels themselves still roll fine. It's a lot easier to use than some brands. Although if you have your box like this, you know, if you have it like this, you're not going to get to them. So Snap-on's wheels are a better design in that regard, but usually you're pushing a box anyway, and then they are pretty easy to hit. The power cord that comes with them is really cheap. I don't know why. Snap-ons are 100 times better. That's another really small complaint. They're almost not long enough to hit an outlet. I'm not a huge fan of their top mats. I think in the cleaning process, we showed a clip from that. They're like a texture, and they are impossible to clean. So you're going to spend a lot of effort trying to get these back into good shape, and this is about as good as we can get it. They just stain easier, and they're not as chemical resistant as something like a Snap-on. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the power drawer layout. The detents are okay. The painted lock, I wish it was a little bit different. I would say overall, these are really small complaints though. I think the box itself, you know, they say it has a weight rating of 8,000 pounds. This is an extremely heavy duty box. For the price, you know, on the used market, if you guys are looking for these, they go cheap. The Maximizers go cheap. You can find these things below 2 sometimes, and in great condition, they go more, and if they're the 30-inch, they do go quite a bit more, but that's usually still a 67 by 30 in great condition is still below 3,500. So if I had my choice between a Macsimizer in that condition for $3,500 and say a Masters for $3,000, I would personally buy the Macsimizer. You know, for the used prices, I would consider the Macsimizer. On the new price though, I would probably save the money and buy the Snap-on. I don't know how much that means to you guys if you're shopping new or used, but if you're looking around, I would really look for these Maximizers, because for the quality of the box and for the size of the box, they sell cheap. You know, $2,000 for a box of this size is really not bad. It's way bigger than anything, you know, Harbor Freight sells. It's way bigger than an Icon, and it's priced accordingly. It's this used, it's the same as a new Icon. Warranty is really hard if you do not have a Mac dealer. If you have a Mac dealer, it's relatively easy. If you have a good Mac dealer, he'll even warranty used parts on them, especially if you spend enough money with them. But on the used market, or even the new market, if you lose your Mac dealer, let's say you go to a different shop and you don't have a Mac dealer in that town, or you bring the box home because you're retired and you want to replace something on it, it's a huge hassle to get anything warranted from Mac. You can't get a human on the phone. You have to go through email chains, and half the time they want the part back, and that includes slides. So if your slide fails out, I don't know, you take all your tools out, take the drawer out, and send the slide off. It's just not very practical. Where Snap-on is very easy to get parts for. Same with Matco, very easy. But Mac and Cornwell, both very hard to get parts for if you don't have a dealer. If you have a dealer, it's easy. Most dealers are easy, but it's the same slide as the new box. So any of the new parts would work with this. They have a little badge on the bottom that says power drawer, and I've never seen those removed. So if you are shopping for a box and you see that little tag down on the bottom right, that is letting you know there is a power drawer. And if there is power outlets on the front, there's almost always a power drawer. There might be an exception to this, but I haven't seen it. It's usually the same. Also, this wheel is a different color. I don't know why. It looks like he warranted it. That's my guess. The other three are black. Everything else is black. The handles are black. The logos are black. But this wheel is chrome. It's probably because he warranted it out. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but that doesn't always mean it's a defect of the product. It could just be because this previous owner moved it on a trailer, and maybe he ratcheted to a wheel too much or something along these lines and broke it. I'm not saying that's an issue with the box. I usually do not see issues with the actual casters themselves. So I will hit the drawer dimensions really quick, because I know this is probably the most important part if you're actually considering one of these. Their top drawer and the drawer below it are both going to be 59 inches wide. They are all going to be 24.5 deep, which means you're losing quite a bit. So that's 24.5 deep. So you're losing 2.5 inches for the locking mechanism, but that's a little bit normal. Most boxes lose 2, so 2.5 is kind of in the ballpark. The next drawers are going to be 37.25, and then your skinny drawers on your right side are going to be 18.5. We'll hit the depths fast. So this one is 3 3/4. The one below it is about very skinny. That's a very skinny drawer. That's, I don't know, that's very skinny. That's almost like, it's not even 1.5. Snap-ons are like 1 3/4 on their really skinny ones, and the wrench drawers are a lot deeper. This being the wrench drawer, that's what that would be considered. So on a box like this, your wrench drawer is 2.5. So I don't know, you gotta have to lay your wrenches flat in here. If you put them on rails, it ain't gonna work. Dang, I never really noticed how skinny that was. So you're actually under 1.5, but these are gonna be the same at about 1.5. This one's gonna be 1.5. Your next ones down are going to be the same exact drawer, so 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. The next two below that are the same at 2 3/4. The next drawer below that, 4 inches. The drawer below that, 6 1/4. This drawer and the one below it are both going to be 4s, and then your power drawer on your very bottom is your deepest by far at 11 inches. So you get a lot of versatility with the drawers. On the newer model though, it is not this layout, it is a 10 drawer. So on the new model 10 drawer, on this 13 drawer, and we've talked about that in some other videos, as you see the progression across the years, fewer and fewer drawers. Every box, every year seems to lose a drawer. I joke that one day it'll just be a single giant drawer, and it seems that way with, Epic's now having 7 drawers and 10 drawers and 9 drawers, and they used to be 13, 14, 15 drawers, and the Master is even more atrocious. A lot of guys just like the bigger drawers, and I understand you just lose a lot of square inches. The cubic inches, a little bit easier to store things because all those deep drawers, you guys are using a lot of cases, a lot of, even like Toolbox widgets, something like this that you guys are using a lot of. I see this very common now inside of the boxes when we buy them. you're not going to be able to use a drawer like this to be able to stand any wrenches up. So it doesn't really work with a lot of modern day tool storage systems, where Snap-on does, and their new box does. Although they still have a pretty skinny drawer on the new Maximizers, they just have brought it a bit bigger, and then they've ditched out quite of these to combine them down to get 10. So you lose 3 drawers on the newer one. So if you guys are thinking about that, you know, when you're looking for a box, I would consider the way you want to store your tools matters heavily on the box that you buy. You know, you can't, sockets will always fit in your top drawer standing up, but that wrench drawer, in my opinion, very small. I don't even think you can move them. Yeah, their drawers are fixed. When you order them, you can order different drawer layouts though. This is some brands like Matco does not offer that. So that is cool to see the Maximizer has a lot of different drawer options in these boxes. You can kind of custom build them and decide, I want all big drawers or all little drawers. You can still do this. Snap-on still offers it, although it's expensive to custom build a box like that. But if you're looking for one used, which is what I promote the most, I think that's really what this channel is about, is trying to find a really high quality USA made product, or at least USA assembled product at the price of what you can buy, you know, something at Harbor Freight for. And that is what this box is. This box will sell for $2,000. That's an extremely large, heavy duty box. And if you guys are shopping around for them, you can find them as low as $15. If they're really rough, you can find them as low as $1,000. You can find the triples for anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. So it's definitely something I would say is a good buy. I like the Maximizer line, and of all the Mac products, it's my favorite, or really the only one I'd consider buying. So I appreciate you guys watching. I'll mention the giveaway again. It's pinned to top comment on the bottom, and until next time, thank you for watching.